Hello everyone, and welcome to the Solarpunk Scene. My name is Lindsay Jane, and today we're going to be looking at 5 real-life solarpunk places all over the world. A number of these places were suggested by viewers, and we're going to be looking at the good that they're doing for the future, along with any possible controversies that have come along with some of these locations. Let's get into it. Number 5. Kailash Ecovillage, United States. A community located on a 2-acre site about 4 miles from downtown Portland in Oregon, Ecovillage is created with a focus on sustainability, safety, respect, diversity, and more. In 2007, Ole and Matre Erson bought the rundown Capana apartment complex in the city and immediately began to de-pave parking spaces to make space for what today is a huge permaculture co-living space and urban food forest. Today, the Kailash Ecovillage has 55 residents who all help farm where there was once pavement, grass, a swimming pool, and an overgrown weed patch. They have an extensive rainwater collection and storage, plenty of produce, and they process their own sewage. Here, nearly everything is shared. There are 2 community electric cars donated by the Ersons who no longer have a private car, shared bicycles and bike trailers, an extensive fruit orchard, berry and grape patches, and a considerable community garden space. Photovoltaics provide about 2/3 of the energy consumed by the complex. Kailash has several different types of gardens and several programs to manage them. About 1/3 of the garden space is dedicated to individual garden plots where each gardener manages their own space. The other 2/3 are split between multiple ornamental gardens, the group-managed gardens, and fruit trees, berry patches, and grapes. Stated by Ole Erson, if you look at it from an economic perspective, no business would want a complex landscape like this because it's way too much maintenance. But what you have to do is turn the maintenance over to the residents, and then they do it. They get joy, it's an antidepressant, it's a way of creating food, it's a way of creating community, so you have to do it in a certain way, but it's definitely a lot more work than the typical grass and shrub landscape, for sure. Kailash Ecovillage has transformed a rundown apartment building into an affordable living and sustainable community, showing that we can take so many dilapidated places and transform them into beautiful places for the future. If you'd like to learn more about this ecovillage, follow the link in the description below. Up next, we have a focus on villages in Southeast Asia. Number 4. Ban Nathon, Thailand. Suggested by Anik Samyod-Raman and several other viewers, we're going to be looking at 2 villages in Southeast Asia that have stood the test of time and show that we can also be inspired by these rural locations for sustainable living methods. These villages have maintained their way of life for centuries, living in harmony with the earth around them. Thailand's Ban Nathon is a traditional village in Sukhothai. Homes are surrounded by lush dragon fruit trees, with many villagers zipping by on bikes or scooters. Locals use woodworking techniques to construct buildings and furniture, and use leftover wood to carve artwork pieces. The houses are open ground floors where occupants weave with cotton. Textile knowledge from the village has been passed down for generations, including their famous fermented mudcloth. Cotton threads are dyed with mangosteen peels, jackfruit bark, and are then dunked in mud. The fabric is then fermented overnight in a tall clay jar, then cleaned and boiled with salt. The process leads to the cotton being noticeably softer. The materials are all sourced locally along with their food. Their farming practices have been passed down for generations as well. The village has orchards of seasonal fruit and lots of locally grown food, and they offer a homestay for visitors to come learn how they have lived for time immemorial. The other location we're looking at is in Vietnam. Number 3. Tra Quay Vegetable Village, Vietnam. Tra Quay Vegetable Village, or Tra Quay Herb Village, is a fertile island surrounded by the Davong River. It has green gardens accessed by brick-paved lanes around the houses, and a tranquil atmosphere. The first inhabitants came in the 16th century, after a previous settlement of the Cham people migrated out. Today, the village boasts a population of nearly 280 families. Located outside the popular tourist destination of Hoi An city center, this peaceful village is known for having some of the freshest and healthiest produce in the area. What sets Cha Kway Vegetable Village apart from its counterparts is the absence of any synthesized chemicals or harsh fertilizers used in the growing process. The farmers use a special type of algae found in the nearby lagoon in Cha Kway. Each morning, the locals head to the lagoon and harvest the algae to assist with the growing of vegetables. Around half of a month is needed to wait for the algae's complete decomposition. They've been using the algae for their produce for over 300 years when fishermen discovered the benefits of the algae for the soil and settled there to farm. The village offers opportunities for tourists to come and experience working the land through their techniques, along with cooking traditional dishes and making fresh rice paper. More than half the households have been growing vegetables, herbs, and flowers for local markets and restaurants. The village is a frequent stop on bicycle tours, and many come here on foot. There are countless villages to explore in terms of sustainable living, and I will be making a point to cover more such villages in the future. Hopefully this is a good view into how people can live more in harmony with the land, such as utilizing all materials, growing food locally, and using natural local fertilizer to benefit the earth. However, it should be noted that climate change is negatively impacting these people's way of life. As of this moment, the Consultative Group on International Agricultural Research's Program on Climate Change, Agriculture, and Food Security is working to establish climate-smart villages throughout Southeast Asia. From an original 6, there are now 33 climate-smart villages in the Philippines, Vietnam, Myanmar, Laos, and Cambodia. Climate-smart villages are empowering local communities and helping smallholder farmers become more productive and resilient to climate change. To read more about these places, along with the climate change adaptation and mitigation that is underway, check through the links in the description below. Number 2. Angawi House. Our next location is a site that seeks to support nature rather than take from it. Located in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia, the Angawi House is the creation of Sami Angawi, who is an architect and social activist. Built and designed in the traditional Hijaz style, the home is lived in by Angawi's family and used as a public cultural haven. Concerts, lectures, and discussions are hosted at this bastion of beautiful woodworking and traditional crafts. The building combines urban and traditional styles, including a luxurious castle-like exterior and traditional Hijazi rawashin. The elaborately patterned wooden window frames are found in old buildings in Mecca and Jeddah that maximize natural light and airflow. These techniques minimize the need for air conditioning even at the peak of summer. The interior of the home is not decorated with wasteful pieces, but is instead filled with ordinary, functional, and traditional decor. Many of the home's objects are quite old, such as a 300-year-old carved door at the entrance. The heart of the home is a beautiful aqua blue tiled indoor swimming pool, the bottom of which is a mosaic tile pattern that looks like a Persian carpet. This inner courtyard is surrounded by rich carved wood on multiple levels and hanging baskets. A computerized drip watering system feeds the thousands of plants that are an integral feature of both the central internal courtyard and the exterior ground and roof gardens. To learn more about this beautiful piece of architecture and the various public events held there, along with learning more about Sami Angawi's work, check the links down below. Next, we're moving over to India. Number 1. Auroville, India. Imagine a universal town where people of all countries can live in peace and progressive harmony above all creeds, all politics, and nationalities. That is the goal of Auroville, an experimental township created in 1968 by Mira Alfasa and designed by the architect Roger Anger. This locale seeks to progress humanity towards a beautiful future by bringing together people of goodwill and aspiration for a better world. Called the City of Dawn, Auroville plans to have the living capacity for up to 50,000 inhabitants. As of 2022, the village is recorded as having 3,300 residents with 60 different nationalities. The center stands the Matri Mandir, the soul of the city, a place for individual silent concentration that is in an oval-shaped peace area surrounded by a lake. Beyond the lake are 4 zones: the industrial, cultural, residential, and international, each focusing on an important aspect of the town's life. Surrounding the township, they have a green belt, which is an environmental research and resource area and includes farms, forestries, a botanical garden, seed bank, medicinal and herb plants, water catchment bunds, and some living areas. The city has no law, no religion, and no racism. Everyone is treated equally and earns the same salary. People in the community can pursue whatever they want to, whether that be art, meditation, or whatever else they care to do. The people there believe in working for the community, but doing what you love, leading to a 0% crime rate. They have enacted alternative models of currency, land ownership, education, and governance, and planted over 3 million trees to revitalize the land. Their use of renewables and sustainable ways of living are world-leading. Their website is a fantastic resource for information about green practices such as natural regeneration of vegetation, sustainable water management, and plenty more. A plethora of information is recorded from conferences held there. Auroville is backed by the United Nations and is a designated UNESCO World Heritage Site. The city is known as an eco-city, or sustainable city, extensively using solar power and designing its buildings in such a way that they consume less energy. Another thing to check out from Auroville is a web search engine that they've created. Like Ecosia, which uses their profits to plant trees to help reforestation, the Solar Village uses funds to provide solar panels to villages in India. Their project is run by Auroville Consulting, which is an environmental consulting firm based out of the city. Something that should be noted, however, is that all may not be well in paradise. Attempts to turn Auroville from quiet eco-community into a pioneer utopian city has led to tensions coming to a head. As of December 4th, 2021, a conflict took place where bulldozers arrived in the forest, accompanied by police. That night, dozens of protesting Aurovillians stood in their path and prevented any demolition. But just 5 days later, the machines returned, and this time razed a 25-year-old youth center and hundreds of trees. An interim halt was placed against the tree felling and further demolition. The main issue stated by many of the residents is that the bulldozing took place without following their democratic process, rather than the development itself. Despite the conflict, however, residents believe that this is hardly an end to the city, but rather a time for healing. Such instances show that conflict is possible no matter the living situation, but the issues being handled in a pragmatic and compassionate manner is the key for resolution. I hope you enjoyed this video on 5 real-life Solarpunk places. If you have any places you'd like to see in my next Solarpunk places video, comment down below. I always listen to suggestions and try to take them into consideration when doing my research and writing. Please like and subscribe if you like the content, and if you'd like to see any more Solarpunk content here on YouTube. You can also follow me on Instagram and Facebook, and I've just gotten a TikTok. Thank you, as always, to my incredible patrons. Your support makes such a huge difference. Until next time, have a great day!